What's up everybody, Maran here for another weekly update. So I'm back to the normal format here. I appreciate everyone who tuned into the live stream last week. I know some people loved it, some people hated it. I actually lost subscribers on Friday, I think because some people were thrown off and thought I wasn't going to be doing these weekly updates anymore this way, and instead doing some new live thing all the time instead. That was just a one-time thing. If they had watched the previous weekly update, they would have known that when I gave everyone a heads up. But it's all good. So anyway, getting on to this week's stuff. Now, also, I'll give you guys a heads up again for next week. For those who didn't, again, hear in last week's update, I will be at the Detroit Motor Show this coming week here. And so on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, I will have lots of videos posted each of those days because of the auto show and wanting to get those videos out as soon as those vehicles are revealed. So I apologize if I'm bombarding everyone's sub boxes early next week. But after that, it'll chill out. It's not forever. It's just for those few days. I won't have a car review next Wednesday as well to, again, give people a little bit of a break after the avalanche of videos that'll be posted, earlier on Monday and Tuesday. So that's what to expect for next week. Now, I will also be doing a normal weekly update next Friday because there'll be a few vehicles that'll be revealed after the Detroit Auto Show that aren't showing up at Detroit, but will be revealed elsewhere and other stuff to talk about. And also, I'll probably do a little bit of a roundup of everything from Detroit. So I will also have a normal weekly update next week as well, so don't worry. But getting on to the news this week here. First off, we have Lamborghini has revealed the Huracan Evo, which is their name for the refreshed version here of the Huracan. And you can see it's got some a little bit of a new styling there, new front bumper, although the headlights are still the same, taillights are the same. So just new front and rear bumpers, but I do really love that little ducktail spoiler. So the aerodynamics of this vehicle are greatly improved according to Lamborghini. It's now, the downforce and aero efficiency are over 5 times better than they were on the original Huracan. So it's also gets some new 20-inch wheels to add into the visual updates here. But I guess the Performante's 5.2-liter V10 engine now has 640 horsepower, 442 pound-feet of torque. The engine gets titanium intake valves and a lighter new exhaust as well, which should give it a even better sound than it already has. 0 to 62 miles per hour takes 0.2 seconds less than it did in the past, now being 2.9 seconds 0 to 60 and a top speed of over 202. It also now gets rear wheel steering, I think as standard, although it might be an option. And torque vectoring is also now on the Evo version here. And that all works with smarter computer systems to refine those magnetic dampers and help the whole vehicle to respond better as far as traction and stability control systems and all that kind of stuff. Lamborghini also says the steering now provides higher responsiveness when cornering. And then on the inside here, it's going to be getting a new 8.4-inch touchscreen, which is a nice improvement over the current setup. And anyway, these are going to be arriving in dealers this spring, starting at $261,274. So cool to see that. There's a bunch of Ford stories this week, though. The first here is Ford has revealed the 2020 Explorer, which is all new ahead of the Detroit Motor Show because they got several other things I think they're going to be revealing in Detroit instead. So you can see it's a conservative redesign, but I think it's really handsome looking personally. The platform underneath of it is all new, completely different. It's shared with the brand new Lincoln Aviator that was recently revealed. Now it's on a rear-wheel drive platform. So if you don't go for the all-wheel drive option with the Explorer, then you will get rear-wheel drive now instead of the previous ones being front-wheel drive based. So it should help it to handle a lot better and just be a lot better balanced, I'm hoping, as well. It's also 200 pounds lighter than the previous Explorer, they say, and so that means it's going to definitely probably handle better, be a little more athletic both on-road and off. The new base engine is going to be the 2.3-liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder, making 300 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque in this application. There's also a 3-liter V6 that's a twin turbo, and that does 365 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque. And so this is basically the same engine the Lincoln Aviator gets, but in that version it's much more powerful with 400 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. Both of the Explorer engines use a 10-speed automatic transmission, that new one that a lot of the Ford models have been getting. And towing performance is also pretty strong for those that are interested in that. Even the 4-cylinder version is able to tow 5,300 pounds. The V6 can tow 5,600 pounds. I'm surprised it's only that little bit of a jump and not more so. Anyway, the interior interior is an all new thing too, and the main thing that stands out there is that 10.1-inch vertical touchscreen that's optional. And I emphasize optional especially because when I posted on Instagram about this when it was revealed a couple of nights ago, everyone hated that center screen. They just thought it was an iPad slapped onto the middle of the dashboard there. And I kind of agree. I get that they're trying to go after the Teslas and stuff with, their type of setup. And Volvo has a setup similar, but Volvo's is much better integrated. And I can't say I'm a huge fan of this setup either, but thankfully the 8-inch screen standard on the regular, lower versions of the Explorer. So you'll be able to get that screen if you don't want to go for the 10.1. Hopefully they don't force you into that screen in the top level versions, but if so, then maybe just go for a lower version. But it's at least, I think the good thing about the screen changes is that if the 8-inch screen is standard, then hopefully that means there is no more base non-touch screen with its full phone keypad that it had, like the Mustang has currently in its base trim. It's just like embarrassing to even offer that in 2019, and the Mustang still continues to do so. But, so that's at least good that, you have the 8 inches standard there. Another screen is you can now get a 12.3-inch gauge cluster screen available as an option. It's the same size gauge cluster screen as the Mustangs and a lot of the other Ford products that have already gotten it. And I do like the graphics they're on. It looks pretty nice, but again, some people, it's a mixed opinion. And I think the other parts of the interior also look a bit improved over before. It seems like it has a little bit more metal there around the door areas, and for some of the switchgear and stuff, it has a redesigned steering wheel that looks a little bit nicer than before, and has the rotary shift knob, which was in the Edge and some other vehicles as well. And so that's another thing that, again, is a love it or hate it type of thing. I personally think it's pretty nice. The wheelbase is also 6 inches longer now, which allows more interior room for all 3 rows. It's supposedly very competitive as far as all the measurements, which I won't get into all the measurements, but it's greatly improved over the current Explorer in that way as well. It also gets Ford's Copilot 360 system as standard, which includes the automatic emergency braking and blind spot monitoring. But unlike other manufacturers, Ford doesn't make adaptive cruise standard. You have to go up to a plus version of that active safety suite in order to get the adaptive cruise, which is a little bit unfortunate, but still is a luxury feature, so I can see why they justify making people pay for it. Anyway, these are going to be going on sale this summer, they're saying, and they haven't announced pricing yet, but they kind of did, because Ford says the base model is only going to be $400 more expensive than the current base model. And so if you go off of that, then that means that the price for the new ones should be starting at $32,765. We'll have to wait and see, and I'm guessing we're just waiting for other pricing for the other trims and stuff. But Ford also did confirm that a hybrid and an ST version are also coming very soon as well, and so that's exciting to hear. We'll have to see if the ST version maybe gets the Lincoln motor, 400 horsepower, maybe it's higher. We'll have to see. Another thing is Ford has also shown the police Interceptor version of the new Explorer here, and they actually showed that a couple days before the regular Explorer. And so we have a few details here on the police version. Of course, for anyone who ever goes even 1 mile per hour over the speed limit, you're definitely going to want to make sure you memorize those headlights and taillights so you can spot them from a great distance whenever you're driving around. But anyway, so it gets the 3.3 liter hybrid V6 as standard. I believe that's an naturally aspirated engine there. And then there's also going to be options for a 3.3 liter non-hybrid V6 and a 3 liter EcoBoost V6 as well. And so they didn't reveal horsepower numbers or any kind of exact performance numbers really for that. I don't know if that's like a police thing they just don't want to say or what. But the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department tested the new Explorer here, and they say that the 3.3 liter hybrid version is actually 1.1 seconds faster 0 to 60 than the old 3.7 liter V6 was that was standard previously, and it can get to 100 miles per hour 4.7 seconds faster. And top speed for that one is 137. For anyone that's planning on outrunning the cops, you have to do better than 137. Although if the police do opt for that 3 liter EcoBoost version, that one can top out at 150 actually, which is very impressive honestly for a large SUV that's just running a twin turbo V6. To be hitting 150 is very impressive. So that one's going to be pretty tough to outrun. And that also, they did reveal that for that one, the 0 to 60 time is 5.77 seconds. So anyway, very cool to see that. And there's also a lot of great great safety stuff for policemen too. They've added in where it has proximity sensors that can, if it's low visibility, it'll be able to kind of show you where people are coming up at, so that if someone tries to sneak up on the vehicle, it'll give the police a warning. It also has, I think, 75 mile per hour rear bumpers on it, so that it can withstand impacts much better than a standard Explorer could, and a few other things, of course, as well. But anyway, interesting to see all that. Some other Ford news here is a report by Reuters that is talking about how Ford could potentially, as rumors, they're going to be announcing their partnership with Volkswagen in Detroit next week, and that we've heard rumors of what it's going to consist of. I'm not sure how much they'll officially announce next week, if anything at all. But the rumored stuff they're rumored to be partnering up on are commercial vehicles, Ford potentially licensing Volkswagen's MEB electric vehicle platform to use in Ford vehicles, and also them partnering up on autonomous technology, as well as Volkswagen potentially getting versions of the Ford Transit van and the Ranger, actually, to have some type of small truck for Volkswagen. And there's also the possibility of them building Volkswagens in Ford plants where there's some unused production capacity. So we'll have to wait and see, if any of that gets confirmed here. But if there's a report by Reuters, I'm, betting it's probably going to be pretty accurate. So, of course, I'll be reporting on all that next week for you guys as well. And the last Ford news here is that they were spied over in Europe testing a new small crossover that's supposedly based on the new Fiesta that we don't get here in the States. But there's a bunch of rumors about what this could be. It could be a Fiesta Active just for Europe. It could potentially be a new EcoSport and branded, at least here in the States, as such, since the EcoSport currently on sale is imported from India, I believe, and is just a quickly thrown together vehicle that wasn't originally developed for our market. So this could be something that's developed a little bit more for the US market as well as Europe and stuff. So we'll have to see, but it could be a completely new separate model as well. We have no idea, but whatever it is, I'm sure it would sell like hotcakes here in the States if it was brought over. So anyway, interesting to see that. And Hyundai could have a surprise up its sleeve for the Detroit Auto Show here. Korean website Motorgraph spoke to Albert Bierman, who's the head of Hyundai's N division here, and they spoke to him at CES here, which was this past week, and I'll get to a few stories from CES here soon. But anyway, they talked to him, and he said, "We will have surprise news of the N brand at the Detroit Motor Show," adding, if not Hyundai, who will make a high-performance hydrogen electric car? So they were talking about, some type of hybrid hydrogen thing. And he said, "We are the company with the most advanced technology on hydrogen electric vehicles." So, sounds like they're doing some type of high-performance hydrogen electric vehicle, at least as a concept. Not sure if it would be production or anything, because we haven't seen anything spied, so I'm sure this is just a concept. But it could be a cool halo model for the N brand, which is something that Albert Bierman's talked about in the past they would like to do. Obviously, it's hard to get approved, for production with things like that. But back in 2015, Hyundai did show off the N 2025 Vision Gran Turismo, which was, again, just a car for a video game. It was never physically built, I don't think. It could be something like that, maybe to get into racing or just to kind of showcase their hydrogen tech. But maybe it could be something a little more realistic, too, and toned down that could potentially actually come out as a production vehicle. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it should be an interesting day on Monday there and see what they reveal from Hyundai. Mercedes has officially revealed the 2020 CLA 250 at CES here. And so this looks like a smaller version of the CLS, of course. That's what it's always kind of had for its theme. But it is a completely new vehicle. It's got a front track that's 2.5 inches wider, and then the rear track is 2.2 inches wider. It's going to be available in front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, but both versions get an independent rear suspension, unlike the A-Class, which was just revealed, and we'll also be getting the A-Class sedan here in the States, but that you only get the independent rear suspension if you get all-wheel drive. The front-wheel drive versions of that still have a torsion beam rear suspension. So So this is going to make the CLA a little bit sportier in regards to its handling. Also, the CLA is going to be faster than the A-Class, even though they both use basically the same 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. In the CLA version, it does 221 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, which is 33 more horsepower than the A-Class gets and 37 more pound-feet of torque. So it should make it definitely quicker than the A-Class. And the CLA, compared to the old CLA, the torque is the same, but the horsepower is up 13. So even compared to the old CLA, this is an improvement with this new one. They all come with the 7-speed dual clutch auto still, though, which in my experience isn't a great transmission. I was really hoping they would do a normal automatic again, but unfortunately not. So maybe they've hopefully refined this dual clutch. We'll have to see. The interior seems to be almost identical to the A-Class, which is a good thing, though. It has that M-Bucks interior as standard with a touchscreen and all the gesture and voice controls and stuff, and the very nice interior. I mean, that is so much nicer than I think anything else in this price category. And anyway, they're saying these are going to be on sale here in the States by the end of this year, but no pricing yet. So still a bit of a wait for that one. Porsche has a little bit less of a wait on their reveal this week. The 2020 911 Cabriolet was revealed less than 2 months from the hardtop we just saw at the LA Auto Show. And so anyway, this is all the same stuff as the Coupe. There's really very little to report on here for the Cabriolet version. A few specific improvements are that the roof goes up and down 1 second faster than it did on the previous Gen 911. Otherwise, now it's 12 seconds to go either up or down. Same 31 mile per hour limit for putting it up or down. You can also now get the PASM Sport suspension, which was previously only available on the Coupes, and so far they're only showing it in the S and 4S versions, but I believe the Cabriolet used to always be available on all trims. So we'll have to see, which ones end up getting it. But anyway, as far as performance, with launch control on the Sport Chrono packaged vehicles with PDK, the S will do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. The 4S does it in 3.4. That's 0.2 seconds slower than the Coupes, just for comparison's sake. And that's, of course, due to the heavier weight, I'm sure, of the Cabriolet version. Otherwise, they're going to be available with a 7-speed manual as well, just like the Coupes, at a later date, is what Porsche keeps saying for that manual. Ordering is open now, though, if you'd like to order one, with delivery starting later this summer. So they'll be available in time to enjoy putting the roof down here in the snow belt. So anyway, the S Cabriolet is going to be starting at $127,350, including destination, and the 4S is going to be starting at $134,650. So anyway, cool to see that. And I think it looks pretty good, although the back end always has a little bit of a bump there in the back on these 911s. It makes me personally not a huge fan of the way the Cabriolet versions look. I personally think the Coupe looks much better. But anyway, great to see they're continuing to offer the convertible. Mazda has teased a 30th anniversary edition of the Miata they'll be showing at the Chicago Motor Show in February. And this is the reason why they're doing it in Chicago is it's to celebrate the reveal from 30 years ago exactly in 1989, whenever they revealed the very first MX-5 Miata in Chicago, and kind of changed sports car history as we know it with that original car. So this is very cool. And from the teaser image, I mean, it looks very blurred out, but you can basically see it's going to be in RF in bright red, maybe the same color as the concept shown, there in Chicago 30 years ago. It looks like it's going to have some darker wheels as well. Hopefully this is going to be available in a regular convertible version. I would be very surprised if it wasn't. But anyway, cool to see that, and hopefully it won't be too much more expensive and actually be available for the public. McLaren has also released a teaser for their next convertible, the 600 LT Spider. And so this should be incorporating all the same stuff as the current 600 LT, although since you have the retractable hardtop, you probably won't be able to get the roof scoop, understandably so. Otherwise, it looks like it's going to still have the, top-mounted exhaust, and that combined with not having a roof should make for a glorious sound experience. That would be amazing. So I'm very excited to see how that all pans out with that. But anyway, the reveal is going to be on January 16th, so next Wednesday, and I'll have all the details on that next week for you guys. Nissan has revealed the Leaf E Plus at CES. I think here in the States it's just going to be called the Leaf Plus. So this is a long-range version that was promised a while back. And so this one uses a 62 kilowatt-hour battery for 226 miles of range. And it's a nice improvement over the 150 of the regular Leaf. So this is definitely going to be a lot more usable for a lot of people. It also gets a lot more power, too. It's a really healthy jump. Now, 214 horsepower, 250 pound-feet of torque, which is 54 more horsepower than the regular Leaf and 14 more pound-feet of torque. So there isn't any kind of 0 to 60 time given to go along with that horsepower number, but they say the top speed is now 105. I believe it was like 98 or something before. I don't remember exactly, but anyway, it can also charge faster with this new 70 kilowatt charging system that Nissan says allows similar charge times to the smaller battery version, even with the larger battery. So basically, the amount of time it takes a normal Leaf to do an 80% charge, it'll still take the same amount of time, even with the bigger battery, to do the same amount of percentage, which is pretty impressive. And so they also said they refined the throttle when the car is in reverse. Apparently that was a common complaint with the normal Leaf, as it wasn't very natural feeling or something. So they've improved that, they say. Also on the Plus version, you get the larger 8-inch screen from the higher trims of the Leaf. You get that as standard here, and that screen has the Apple CarPlay and stuff, which is good to have. Anyway, they're saying these are going to be available this spring, but no pricing has been announced yet, so cool to see that. Other Nissan news. I have some exciting news here for the diehard Frontier fans. I see you guys in the comments every once in a while asking about when a new Frontier is coming. Finally, we have some news. It might be coming sooner than any of us were expecting, because Nissan's Senior Vice President of Global Design told Autoblog this past week that a new Frontier is almost finished. He continued by saying, "It is something we are actively working on and will soon be coming into the market." Nissan, they do have a press conference actually at Detroit, and so far they haven't teased anything, and I don't know what, I can't think of anything they would be showing. So they have a press conference. It could very well be for the Frontier. That would be a really nice surprise, I think, considering I think the original Frontier came out like 2005 for the current generation that's still on sale. They're still selling well, amazingly, but an all-new version would be amazing if they kind of surprised us with it here next week. So we'll have to wait and see, but it could be any other, any of the other auto shows here this winter or spring. You have Chicago's a big truck show next month. You have New York in April. It could be one of those as well, or even later this year. But anyway, exciting to at least hear there's a new one on the way very soon. Another vehicle that was shown at CES was Byton has shown off an updated version of their M-Byte EV crossover. This is this Chinese-built crossover that they're now saying is closer to production. And they showed this version that has an updated interior that's a little more closer to production there. They're still claiming it's going to be on sale in China by the end of this year, which is crazy. And they're saying it's going to be arriving in the US and Europe in the second half of 2020. And so that all sounds very, very ambitious, just because, okay, even if they go by the Tesla sales model and just kind of ship them to people and don't really have dealerships, you still need to have infrastructure in places to, one, charge these, because they're not going to be able to use Tesla chargers, and the other charging stations from other people are very, very scattered and not very comprehensive. And then, where do you get these serviced at? There's no Byton service centers or anything, so still a lot of work to do. We'll see how the timing of this all pans out in the second half of 2020. I mean, it's a year and a half away. We'll see. But getting back to the features here of this M-Byte, the main feature is that 48-inch wide infotainment display that to me looks like it'd be very distracting. It looks way too tall. I mean, if you look at it, the screen comes up to like the tops of the side mirrors out of the windows there. So, I mean, you think about that on your current car. If you had a screen that was coming up that high, that's just like, I don't know, that seems very unsafe. I don't know. And also, it's an all-white background, which really would seem like eye-searing at night. I mean, I'm guessing there's a dark mode at night or something, but even during the day, having that screen just blaring in your eyes when it's that large, I don't know. That might be kind of torture on people as they're driving. I don't know, but we'll have to see. To control that massive screen, they still were able to retain the steering wheel's 7-inch touchscreen. You can see the airbag is actually mounted just beneath that, so that's why why they were still able to get away with that, I guess. There's also an 8-inch touchpad in the center, lower center area there, and that's how passengers will be able to control. Or if you don't want to, be fidgeting with the middle of your steering wheel, you could also use that area as well. And mechanically, it's going to be available in 2 versions. There's going to be a rear-wheel drive version with a 71 kilowatt-hour battery for 250 miles of range, and there's going to be an all-wheel drive version with a 95 kilowatt-hour battery, and that's going to do 325 miles of range. They say that it can do an 80% recharge in 30 minutes, which also sounds a little ambitious, but that'd be awesome. And they also are saying that it's going to be level 3 autonomous, which is even beyond Tesla Autopilot, which is level 2. So level 3 is basically it can drive itself in almost all circumstances as long as the environment is accommodating. So basically a clear sunny day. We'll have to see. That sounds ambitious as well. Again, for a brand new company to be able to do better tech than the established car companies and even Tesla, we'll have to see. Another very ambitious thing is they're claiming it's going to have a starting price for that rear-wheel drive 250-mile version of $45,000. That's it. So, again, we'll have to see. That sounds great, but sounds very ambitious at the same time. So we'll just be cautiously optimistic, I guess, on that one in the meantime. Another very interesting vehicle that showed up at CES was Hyundai showed off the Elevate EV concept, which is this crazy thing. Looks like it's out of a sci-fi movie or something. It's this new vehicle with moving legs attached to its little small wheels there. And so instead of being a normal consumer vehicle, it appears to be more set up for the service sector, at least just with the examples they gave. They're saying it'll be able to crawl over disaster areas, for example, where first responders usually have to go on foot, and so it'll be able to actually investigate those areas while still being inside the vehicle. Another example is they're saying it could be used as a taxi vehicle that could actually climb stairs in order to help people that are in wheelchairs and stuff to be able to access this. And so there's a lot of interesting applications. They even are saying it can climb over 5-foot-high walls, span across 5-foot-high gaps, and get itself unstuck from snow. So, just a lot more mobility with those legs and the wheels being able to turn, 360 degrees, it seems. It can also lower itself down and cruise at highway speeds too. So supposedly it can be like a normal vehicle in those ways as well and function like a normal car. And they say the possibilities are limitless. So it's a very cool idea. I just don't know if it'll ever happen, but maybe someday, in the distant future, stuff like this will be very common. We'll have to see. For some more normal stuff that's going to be available this year, there's some images that leaked out here of the 2020 BMW 7 Series, thanks to Stan Rudman on Twitter. He posted these pictures, and I don't know if BMW is very happy about it, but they're out there. And so as you can see, it has this new grille like the X7, but on the 7 Series, I don't know, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments, but it seems way too big. On the X7, it even seemed big, but on this, you have it on the squished front end of the normal 7 Series sedan. It just seems just a little odd, but maybe in person it looks better. Otherwise, though, it looks good. I think the headlights, the taillights, all that kind of stuff looks great otherwise. So we'll have to wait, for the official reveal to get some more angles of it there. But that could possibly be revealed at the Geneva Motor Show in March. That's probably the most likely place, or just online somewhere. But anyway, interesting to see that. There's also a new report from Autocar this week, which claims that Mini's new electric Cooper will have similar power to the Cooper S and actually be quite sporty and use the same electric motor as the BMW i3S. And that has 181 horsepower and 199 pound-feet of torque. And so they're saying range should be about 200 miles, according to Autocar here. Again, just their speculation or whatever they've heard. But, of course, this would be heavier than a Cooper S, of course, with those battery packs. So although you have the instant torque, that should help make up for the weight. So you'll probably have a similar 0 to 60 times. But as far as handling, which is a Mini standout characteristic, I still don't know if it's, obviously you have the low center of gravity of those batteries, but it's still going to be so much heavier. We'll have to wait and see. But Autocar says this should be debuting in the second half of this year, which is sooner than I thought. And they say it should be in dealers in Europe before the end of this year. and I'm guessing we're going to get it here in the States, but I don't know if that's been confirmed yet, but hopefully we do get it here because it would be cool. Maybe breathe some new life into the Cooper. Meanwhile, Volkswagen's just killing off the Beetle. Maybe this could show them they could do an electric version or something. Another rumor here is there's a rumor about a brand new, the Jeep Gladiator that's just been revealed. There's rumors of a new high-performance version of that possibly being in the works. And it could be a more powerful and more off-road capable version. But, the Jeep Gladiator is already probably very off-road capable, just like the Wrangler is. So I think maybe the focus will be on more power, possibly. But anyway, this rumor comes from the Jeep Gladiator forum, which cited an anonymous source that says this is still in the early stages of development, and the idea hasn't been approved for production yet. But knowing how awesome FCA is, I'm sure they're looking into possibly maybe putting a V8 engine into it, and then you have that. You kind of put the Ford Raptor to shame with its V6. You have the very, impressive off-road capabilities. I feel like the Gladiator is already going to be a competitor for the Colorado ZR2 since that only has a V6 anyway as well. If they put a V8 in this, they would have a trump card over both of those other vehicles and give it a very awesome sound as well. And we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully that would be awesome if they did that, though. And considering FCA isn't afraid of doing awesome things, I think that makes a lot of sense. But we'll have to wait and see, but a very interesting rumor nonetheless. And Elon Musk this week announced on Twitter that starting with this Monday, the 13th of January, you won't be able to order the 75D versions of the Tesla Model S and Model X anymore. They're discontinuing it for whatever reason. I don't know if it's to give more space between the Model 3 and the Model S and stuff or what, or if they just want people to buy Model 3s and that's it. But this makes the Model S base price $18,000 higher than it was once it's discontinued with that 75D version, because then you have to, there is no 85D, there's no 90 anymore. It's just 100D is all the only other one they offer. So basically you're jumping from a $66,750 base price to $84,750 base price, which is, to me, that's way too big of a gap, because even a fully maxed out Model 3, I think, is like 65 or 70 grand. You're still jumping an extra 15 grand basically to go up to the next nicest model. No one has a gap like that in the car industry. So I don't know. Anyway, and then for the X, now the base price is $15,000 more. So you go from $72,950 used to be the previous base price on a Model X. Now it's $87,950. And then you put some options onto these things. Basically a Model S or Model X is a $100,000 car now, no matter what. So there's always the used market, and Elon Musk has suggested anyone who really wants a 75D version to order it by Sunday night. So if you can do that, great. Otherwise, there's the used market. But a little bit of a strange thing. I'm hoping there's going to be some new battery option maybe offered to kind of fill the void there. We'll have to wait and see, though. But anyway, the last few stories this week are all spy photos that were taken thanks to my spy photographer, Brian Williams. First off, we have a couple Mercedes. The all-new 2020 S-Class was spied testing in the snow here, and still has lots of camo on it, so we can't see too much, but this could be revealed at some point this year. If it's a 2020 model year vehicle, I'm guessing, definitely maybe in the first half of this year. Could be a Geneva Motor Show reveal. Could be, some other time. But they're also saying in the report that Mercedes is probably going to be trying to reveal some type of new advanced like level 3 possibly autonomous system to compete with Audi and their new system in the A8. So expect this to have even more tech than current Mercedes have. But anyway, interesting to see that. Mercedes was also spy testing the GLE63 Coupe. So we just saw the brand new GLE not too long ago, and so now we see both the Coupe and the 63 version. Looks to get some similar tweaks to other 63 models with a Pan America grille there and more aggressive bumpers and wheels. There's also reports that like other 63 models, it's most likely going to be getting the 4-liter twin-turbo V8 instead of the 5.5-liter ones they used to have. And there's also going to be a 53 version of the GLE, and that's going to be using the same 6-cylinder hybrid powertrain, most likely as all the other 53 models. But anyway, cool to see that. Land Rover was spied testing the new Discovery Sport in the UK. And so Autocar, they had a report about this, and they believe it'll move to the same platform as the Evoque, which is going to be it's modified, of course, to be longer for the Discovery Sport. But it's the main thing to switch to that platform is so so it can accommodate hybrid powertrains. And so visually, it looks like for what we can see here, it's going to get even sleeker styling, but still have some unique traits to differentiate it from the Evoque and the Velar. But we'll kind of have some of that inspiration on it, I'm sure, as well. And of course, it's going to have the improved interior like those models have. But anyway, this could be revealed, at some point this year, probably in the first half of the year, I'm guessing as well. But we'll have to wait and see. But cool to see that. The last vehicle that was spied this week was Jaguar was spied testing a refresh for the XE. And so it's most likely looking like it's going to just get updated headlights, taillights, along with tweaked bumpers, front and rear. It's also supposedly going to be probably getting a mild hybrid tech setup, either with a 12 volt or possibly also a 48 volt system as well to help out with the fuel economy, extended stop start, stuff like that. It also is most likely going to be getting some type of interior update, especially since the infotainment system in the XE is one of the sore spots that a lot of people complained about it. And there's also, according to my spy photographer here, there's rumors that if it doesn't sell better with this refresh of the XE, that this could be the last version of the XE we'll ever see before it gets killed off. Because Jaguar's parent company is putting a lot of pressure on them to improve sales and cutting out any kind of waste or anything that's holding them back. So I mean, the XE, I only was able to do a quick drive video. I've never been able to get one to review, but the little quick drive video I did in the XE was only like a 10-minute drive, but it really impressed me just in that quick little 10-minute drive. And I've heard good things about the dynamics of it. It's a very sporty, great challenger to the 3 Series, but no one's been buying them. And that's a shame because it could leave Jaguar without a small sedan, which is a bummer. So we'll have to wait and see if that turns out to be true. Maybe sales will turn around, but I think with F-Pace sales doing so well, they're just going to focus on SUVs, I'm sure. But anyway, interesting to at least see they're doing a refresh for the XE here. But yes, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So like I said earlier in the video, I will be at Detroit next week. I'll have, I'll be on scene to actually film walkarounds and give you all the details on all the reveals coming out next week. The GT500, the Supra, all that stuff is going to be coming out next week. It'll be very exciting. Lots of cool stuff. So definitely stay tuned. Please watch all those videos and share them as well. Let me know your thoughts on all those as they're happening. Should be a lot of fun. And I'll see you guys for next week's weekly update. Thank you guys very much for watching this one, and I'll see you next time. Take care.